Liberation Days,
Yep.
the new book.
Yep.
When I browsed a little bit, it feels like it's your own artistic diary of what happened when you went there in North Korea with Laibach and Morten. And besides the text, there's a lot of great art in it. So anyone who has no idea what the story is can get it and just lose themselves in it.
Well, it's a you could consider it as a visual diary, personal visual diary, because it's not only my picture, but it's a lot of my pictures, and the rest of those are my selection of pictures. So basically, it tells the story through my, my ideas and my selection and my editing. And on the side, the idea was to gather as many relevant documents as we could to tell the story of what basically happened and how the whole story was structured and the feeling and emotions that it provided. It's not absolutely complete because you have to make some choices at some point and you cannot make like a 500 pages book. So you have to make, editing and selections and to make some choices. But the idea was, like to offer a mirror of the audio experience from the beginning to the end with the outcomes and everything. So that was the idea.
What about there's this amazing art in it? Really, when I saw it, it's a group of kids that are running towards the viewer.
Yeah.
There is a gun.
Yeah.
With and beneath it says Laibach live in Pyongyang.
Yeah.
Is that your creation?
No. We simply stole a North Korean poster that was basically saying the message was to protect our peace. We have to make like civis pacem parabellum. If you want peace, prepare for war. And like the army is here to protect our well-being and our peace. And we just replaced like the band that was below the illustration that was saying this slogan. We just replaced it with the concert information.
And they were okay with it. No one said, "Wait a minute, you cannot do this. We won't allow to take our."
So art. What happens is that with North Korea, as soon as things happen outside of North Korea, they don't give a fuck about that.
Because they don't know. They'll never know.
And even if they know, they will pretend that they don't know. And anyway, if they really wanted to give shit about that, they don't have, like the legal and the network legal apparatus and the network to sue you in a Western country. So that's it. Anything that happened outside of North Korea stayed outside of North Korea. And even if you bring that in, like in the book or anything, the people from the community, they will see it, but don't flash it to the people in the street. But anyway, you would be very stupid to do that. So they never have a word about what we do with their image outside of North Korea. Also, although we were collaborating and cooperating with those people. So, if we insult them outside of the country and then they know about that, that will obviously create some problems in our friendship and collaboration. So it's not the idea, but
they won't find that.
But like using their imagery outside of the country and turn it into our own, like our own tool and purposes. It's not really problematic.
You've seen Laibach in Western, like you've seen the Laibach show.
Yeah.
And you saw the show that they did there, which was heavily, well, I don't know if it was heavily, but it was definitely censored. They told them
it was a bit monitored.
It was more you cannot use the visuals that you normally use for this song, or you have to change certain lyrics maybe. How much of a censorship did they experience? Was it to the point that it wasn't Laibach anymore, or?
No, not at this point. They were extremely sensitive about anything that was about using elements from their own culture, visually and musically.
The rest could stay, basically.
Yeah, anything that was coming from the West with Laibach. Of course, the first thing is that Morten worked a lot with the band prior to the concert on the playlists because he knew what could work and what could be like pushing things a bit too far. So no Transmit Laibach, no old school Bratemoy noise things, they picked, like pop songs basically. And the North Koreans were not very picky about, not very concerned about that. They were extremely concerned about any element that were taken from the culture.
Yeah.
So out of 3 Korean songs cover, they only played one. The 2 other ones were the actual 2 tracks that were censored by the Koreans were 2 North Korean tracks.
Yeah.
And then some projections have been problematic because they were using some North Korean elements, and also some other images were censored because judged too violent, for example, or too pornographic. And this is actually a good story because for the track Life is Life, like Morten and the designer decided to use statues from the Vigeland Park in Oslo.
Okay.
And there is something that exists in the West that doesn't really exist in the Asian countries, and especially in North Korea, is that we make a clear distinction in our culture, Western culture, and especially in Greece, between what is a naked body in art and what is pornography and eroticism.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you see a Michelangelo naked statue, it has nothing related to anything pornographic. I mean, you can show this
absolutely.
to your 2 years old kid, and this is part of our culture. It's a naked body in art, and it's fine. For us, it's totally harmless. It's nothing related to sin, to sexuality.
Yes.
It's totally asexualized. For the North Koreans, it was just a pile of naked human body. And are you planning to show all those naked bodies in front of an audience? I mean, this is not a porn show, you know that. And it struck me as an evidence at this point. Shit, of course, they don't have this culture of. But even in Japan, even in China, you don't see sculptures with naked bodies like this, just like we have in the West. So this also has been a bit problematic, but. That was it.
There's 2 great pieces that you did for NSK. One is Laibach NSK. Give me the specific. There's a Mickey Mouse shot outline. I really like that. And it's holding a knife, if I remember correctly.
No, it's the hammer. It's the same image. It's the same image as the classic Laibach image, but I replaced the factory in the background with Disneyland.
Yes.
And changed the head with
a Mickey Mouse.
Yes.
And that was for what year was this when you made it?
I think it was 10-ish years ago. It was the poster of an exhibition, NSK folk art exhibition in Ljubljana, in Slovenia.
And that was the first time you did work for them?
Well, let's see. No, the first official works I did for Laibach, for real, it was much after that. This was part of the NSK
of the exhibition.
NSK folk art program that was not working for
yes.
It was basically fan art exhibition.
I got it. Yeah, it's still amazing. I mean, when you see that in the Mickey Mouse.
But this was totally endorsed by the people of NSK. They loved that project. I mean, they came up with the name NSK folk art, and it's what are the citizens doing?
Yeah, inviting art submissions basically.
Yeah. And it was not even submission, it was spontaneous. People from the NSK world, NSK citizens, doing art about NSK without being commissioned whatsoever by anyone. And they gathered this folk art from the state of NSK to make exhibitions.
An exhibition, yeah. And the other piece that I like it even more is the parliamentary where you replace the heads with animals, right? So I think that one is so brilliant. What year did you make that?
This was for the first and maybe last NSK Citizen Congress in Berlin. It was also 10-ish years ago, and there was this poster competition for the with not a. I mean, it was the reward was €1,000. So I mean, it was not petty cash, and I won the competition with this poster. And basically it was at this parliament with many nations from Europe represented, from the world represented by the spirit animal, by the totem animal, and having the stag in the middle representing NSK.
All of this, by the way, can be seen on your first book, Fire Work With Me.
Yeah.
And which it's a giant book. There's so much work in it. And when someone is browsing it, they can read a story with the art you made. For example, there's funny, As I Lay Dying.
Well, when the story is good, yes, I tell the story, and this was a good story, yes.
Where the guy, we're not going to get into the story now, but it's great that someone gets to see the art, and maybe they already know the band, maybe they don't know the band, and then they become fan of music. But you also sit down and wrote the story behind, if there was a story, like how did this band get in touch? What was their request like? And guest authors are in it as well, writing small. David Vincent, Morbid Angel, and MKM.
Yeah.
And someone who is, I'm not sure if is he a professor of art, or is he someone in the art world? He's not a musician.
Well, for the forward in the beginning of the book.
Yes.
Oh, this is Mirko Ilic. Mirko used to be the art director of the New York Times, of
Yes.
Time magazine, and now he has a studio in New York that is working with the studio of Milton Glaser, who designed the I Love New York logo. So those are very high profile.
I looked him up, and he was like, this is like very, very high profile, and it has nothing to do with metal music or anything. How did he come about? Like he found out about your art,
because he's Bosnian, and it's always the Laibach network and connection. I got in touch with him because I bought his book back in the early 2000 in the US, and he did a book with Milton Glaser called The Design of Dissent. It's about like basically a very nice book about political posters and musical posters. And the very beginning of the book, it starts with NSK and Laibach, NSK posters. So I got in touch with this guy. I also tried to get in touch with Milton Glaser, but I didn't know shit about those guys. I just wrote an email to Mirko saying, "Hey, listen, I don't know you, I don't know your work, but we did a fine book." And he just answered me, "I like your work as well. I will make you famous in America." And then I looked after his work and I thought, "Oh my god, okay, this is this guy, and Milton Glaser is that guy." And I just wrote like very like, like candid and like spontaneous, just like, "Hey, hello, what do you think of my work? I like your work." And then I met him a couple of times, and he helped me to have access to the official graphic design world worldwide, and to be giving lectures here and there, and like being a bit more not accepted, but like recognized in the official, like graphic design world.
Yeah, exactly. Which would you say is a niche world? I mean, it's become so mainstream now because I don't know if mainstream is the word, but it's the art that you see on T-shirts, on album covers of bands. It's art that you could have it on your wall.
But we just had this conversation right before the interview with Pierre, because we are
Akita, by the way, we were seeing Akita.
Yes. And we were talking about some issues and controversies about Akita that are more or less related to ideologies and politics. And we were talking about why he was surrounded by these controversies. And he told me, "But you are playing with the same kind of fire, you are playing with the same kind of dangerous materials, and you don't get into shit." And I said, "No, because music is much more popular and much more emotional than graphic design. People don't really care about graphic design, at least not as much as music. And the impact will have on on people's emotions with images is never as deep as what you get when you play music."
See, but I could never. That is so far from how I feel about when I buy an album. I get as much into the artwork as much as I get into the music.
Yeah.
And I think, at least, I don't know, in your case, maybe when someone gets in touch with you to do an album cover or anything, you in order to make what you make, you get into it first, and you try to get inspired by listening to what the music does.
Of course, for us it's a capital element, but you have bands playing in front of 100,000 people in stadiums. Have you ever seen a graphic designer, an illustrator giving a lecture in front of 100,000 people in the stadium? Nope. That doesn't exist at all, The closest you can get is like very famous contemporary artists that make big exhibition in some big museums, but still it's never the same attendance, you never are at the same, because when we talk about one concert of this kind of band, it's like every night in every city in the world, You will never have this kind of popularity with visual art.
But all right, let's say the cover you did for Secrets of the Moon.
Yeah.
Secrets of the Moon, they play a gig. It's usually 500, 600 maybe on a good night. But you did Led Zeppelin a T-shirt that Led Zeppelin fans will buy online, and surely in both cases people will. I think they will go. Okay, wait a minute. I like this shirt, but who made this? Like, or do you? Do you ever think about that, or you just create and that's it? You don't care.
I never got one single feedback from those Led Zeppelin T-shirt artworks I did.
But do you ever think about, or are you just gonna create what you're gonna create, and you don't care if 100 people will see it or 100,000 people?
No, I don't care about that.
That's just like
I was very enthusiastic because it's Led Zeppelin.
Of course, yes.
So I put a lot of energy in the design.
Yes.
But I just did personal designs.
Exactly.
Just the way I want to do it, and that was it. I delivered it to the merch company, and they told me, okay, we'll present it to the band, and we'll see if they accept it. And they, out of 3 designs, they approved 2 designs. But
sorry, how many out of 3 designs?
They got 2. Yeah, they got 2.
And they accepted. They accepted one, or they accepted both.
They accepted both.
They accepted both.
But they did a few modifications afterward. But they didn't even ask me. They did it by themselves. And it was of course good money, it was very well paid. But working for like Antes brought me much more work and feedback than working for Led Zeppelin.
I was going to, because it was one of my very favorite bands, and I was going to bring them up because MKM has a short word on your first book. And you did the vinyl for the first album, and you also did. What else did you do for them?
Oh, I did a lot.
You did the demo. You did.
I did the Cut Your Flesh and Worship Satan re-release. I did Blood Libels. I did Condemnation, and then I did some EPs, some merchandising. And I did the 2 last albums of Antes artworks.
All amazing artwork, by the way. It's brilliant. And the vinyl on Blood Libels and Condemnation is just amazing. When you were growing up, is this one of the bands that you would go see when you were growing up in the Paris scene, like late 90s, early 2000s?
Well, not in the first place, because in the first place I was more on the side of old school, mainstream, nationalists, side, and they were shitting on Antius, and Antius was shitting less, but still shitting on the old school. And because of my network and connection, I was more like, fuck Antius, I'm with those guys, because it was very important to take part, to take position in these very ridiculous, very local warfares between 2 guys because one fucked the girlfriend or the ex-girlfriend of the other one, It was, we're talking of very, very serious shit, It was like basically girl stories all the way around,
Okay.
But then I met Hervé, MKM, and
you started talking, and eventually
and I started to follow Antius in the very late 90s. Probably the first time I saw them live was like in 99 or 98.
Is this the venue we were talking about last night?
The Gibus, yes.
The Gibus,
maybe it wasn't the first time I saw them was not in the Gibus, but like the second time I saw them it was in the Gibus.
Was that venue in a way like the hub of underground metal in Paris?
No, but basically like most of the substantial live happened in this venue. For some reason, because I guess the touring agency was working with this place, but it was not a hub for metalheads. Beside those gigs, no one was going there.
But you saw amazing gigs over there.
I saw very.
Section.
The first black metal gig I saw was there. It was Gargora, first show of Satyricon and Dissection.
That is late 90s.
It was 95 or 96, and then there I saw Ancient Rites, Sacramentum. In the Woods, Catatonia during their death metal period era, it was very, and the atmosphere was of course quite different. It was much more serious. Everybody thought it was dangerous to get there, so we tried to feel this danger in the air. That obviously was not really actually there, but everybody was taking things much more seriously than now, I think we're basically a bunch of posers.
But you look back at it now. Now there's the internet, and everything is so accessible, and there's no mistake or anything like that. Which sometimes is good, sometimes it's bad. It's definitely different, though. That's what I wanted to mention. It's completely different to that late 90s, 2000s, like pre-internet, with flyers and shows like that and underground.
Well, for me, like the most important element that black metal was standing on was the mystery around it, because it was very difficult to get access to information, to photographies, to any information. So you were building yourself, projecting an ideal image of what you wanted around black metal. You know? Although there were probably a lot of pathetic human beings, still, you know, you were projecting this not superhero but like monstrous demonic figures of those guys playing black metal. It was part of the magic. The thing is that like but this golden era of black metal was built on something extremely fragile, in fact. And this aura, this magic has been blown away as soon as internet got in, because of all the reasons we know. And sometimes I wonder, is black metal actually like worth living if it was based on such fragile foundations? You know?
That is a very crucial. Like, was there something really there, or was it just a fragile idea? That
like fragile illusion, you know, and it's nature fantasy. This is something I'm still not struggling with, but you know, I'm still wondering, because I still feel something that's definitely not the same thing I was feeling when I was 16 years old. Although when you are 16 years old, your emotions are much more, you know, like open and absorb much more things than when you are like, you know, 40 years old and you have been living, you know. So
you went to university after school to do fine arts.
No, I haven't been to fine arts. Right after high school, I've been doing 5 years of graphic design.
Graphic design, all right.
It was not exactly like fine art. It was already very focused on the communication. And,
but still, I mean, you spent years learning, studying, like the craft of everything, and that was even before you did ever your first, you know.
No, it was parallel. Actually, like even before graphic design school, I was already starting to fuck around with logos, you know.
Yeah. Glaciation, you did your own like logo. Yeah.
No. Glaciation happened much later. It was in 2014 or 13. I don't remember.
But you knew you weren't gonna go the way you weren't gonna get a job at the bank or like in school. Like when you were finishing school, you knew you were gonna do something with art.
Well, I was. You mean school? Like you mean high school?
Yeah.
No, not really. I mean, it was back then. I was just obsessed with black metal, and what I was actually going to do with my life was not really defined. I just knew I was not good, but doing okay with like drawing and graphic stuff. So I tried to pass an exam to go inside like a free and public school in Paris, and I passed the exam, although my folder was extremely bad. But I did it. So okay, why not? Let's try this. But I was not that much motivated.
You didn't have like but at least you knew that it wasn't going to be a straight job like 9 to 5. I mean, or maybe it would if had it come your way.
Well, like the 9 to 5 option was still on the table, because I mean, when you're a graphic designer, most of the time this is what you do.
Yeah.
But I had something with like graphic expression going on since I was a little kid. When I was very young, it was like a passion, and then this passion shifted to black metal. But I still had this little skill, you know. So I just developed it. I just knew that it was more interesting for me to try to explore this direction than to do anything else, you know. And also I knew that I could live out of it, you know, and not out of music.
You made the comparison. Okay, musicians, it's very hard to make a living, but as a graphic designer, I could do stuff that I find extremely interesting and make a living.
And of course my parents were also encouraging me towards this direction, because they knew that, you know, it was much easier to make a decent living by being a visual artist than a musician. And anyway, I was not that much of a good musician. I was not that motivated by becoming a professional musician, you know. It was.
But your parents, they didn't say they were supporting. They were supportive of your inclination to do graphic design
Yeah, because they knew that it was actually like
they knew that
they knew it was a functional career waiting for me.
They knew that, like they had faith that you could make a living one day.
Yeah, because they knew. I mean, like the family had friends being graphic designers, and they knew it was like a functional career. Yeah. So of course they supported me in doing that, but they also supported me in like indirectly in, although they're Catholic, there have never been an obstacle and a barrier towards like
which is great. That's massive. I mean, to have support and
my mother was not very happy to see me with the inside t-shirt because it's like the inside, So,
but still, they knew they had faith that you could make a living one day doing graphic design.
Yeah,
and not only like corporate graphic design. Like we're gonna talk.
No, this they didn't really know because I did not even know myself what I wanted to do. So it was partly corporate design, but I also was keeping. They were not that deep involved into what I was actually doing.
Yeah.
With my time at school and with my activities. So.
And slowly, I mean, you did the 5 years of studying graphic design, and then you got your first. What was your first commissioned art? Like your first ever paid?
Well, it's hard to say because.
I mean, one of your first, like the one you remember, or the one you.
The first band I got in touch with, but I actually didn't give much feedback, and I worked it for a long time. Was Rotting Christ.
Oh wow! Great band.
Yeah, great band. I still respect them a lot. And I was like 19 years old, and I contacted them. They told me, "Yeah, sure, show us what you have," and I didn't never answer that.
Why? Because you didn't.
Because I was not feeling comfortable enough with what I was doing, so I just got lazy and just didn't do it. Like the first project I worked with were maybe Fornication from France. It was French bands anyway, only underground local French bands. I got in touch with Fornication, with Mal Sanctus, all like terrible bands. I mean, like very, very, very bad bands.
But it was commissioned art. They gave you some money to create something for them.
But it was like symbolic or ridiculous,
Okay,
Like the website of Fornication I did, I asked for 100 euros to design like a full website, and the guy at the end told me, "Well, I asked to a friend, this is fucking rip-off. I will only give you 50 euros." And I got like a meltdown about that. I mean, like, come on, fuck your friend, fuck you. This is 100 euros, fucker. You know what the price is for a website? It's like 2,000, 3,000 euros. Back then, it was just number for in the year, but still, like the guy telling me that 100 euros it's a scam. I would just give you 50 euros.
But didn't you have? Sorry to go somewhere else, but didn't you spend a few months working in a corporate environment and you said this is horrible? That I know.
I did.
This is one of the worst experiences I've ever.
I worked 2 years in the corporate. Working in the corporate universe, and it was fucking terrible. At some point, because there was no. I was designer in the company, but there was no art direction. It was only like a marketing direction, and it was fucking terrible. I was working. It was like a furniture company, and I was a designer, and it was so freaking horrible that at some point I just stopped to wash. So I was just like taking showers in the weekends, but during the weekdays, and actually strangely, my girlfriend back then was fine with it. And I was not washing at all.
I mean, you were so depressed, obviously, by this.
No, I just wanted to give them, like they were giving me shit. I wanted to have them to pay back.
Yes, okay.
So I stopped to shower in the weekdays. So I was
you lasted 2 years in that job?
Well, no, like in this situation, it lasted like 6 or 7 months, and after that they sent me in the basement in the photo studio to work with the photographers, and then it was much better because I was not with the stalkers anymore, and so I could start go back to the bathroom.
But the money was great. Money was great.
No, money was okay. It was not great. I mean, like working in this condition, it was not great. It was okay, but it was definitely not great.
But you got some money to fund. Metastazis, your first, like to lay the foundation?
Well, the fact is that after I left this company, I kept on working as a freelancer for them.
Okay.
And when the time was going, the amount of freelance I was doing for them was going down, and the amount of commission I got from Metastazis went up slowly. So it shifted from this situation to the other situation in a few years. And now I've been independently, like making my money with Metastazis, like 85% of my money make with Metastazis for like 10 years now, more or less.
And at some point you stopped doing freelancing work for marketing or companies, and you said I can
Well,
slowly.
it happens from time to time that someone contacts me, would you do this job for this big company, like for 1 week or 10 days, and it's paid 300 euros a day, so I take it, But
maybe there's some work out there that you did for a mainstream company that we don't know about.
yeah, I work for L'Oreal, this kind of shit, but like very small things, but really well paid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not going to spit on this kind of money, it's good money. So when it happens, as long as it's not taking more than 5 or 10% of my time, I take it. I mean, I'm not going to be stupid,
I mean, you have to make a living at the end of the day doing what you like, and then you can use that money to fund.
It's just extras. It's just extras, that I always need.
Do you turn down a lot of bands when they get in touch and they want you to do?
Not that much actually, because I need. Even if the band is not very interesting to me, I always try to find a way to make it interesting to me. So to turn the idea they want me to do into something I want to experiment with and I want to play with. So this is what I do. But sometimes I turn down some bands because they are just like too awfully fucking stupid, and it depresses me to communicate with those people. So I won't throw names, of course, but
is it because of the personality, not the music, or
is the music, the personality of the band, and the personality of the guy who's probably like most likely an idiot because he's doing this idiotic music and these idiotic lyrics with this idiotic concept. So even if the money is okay.
But you don't get a lot of those. But would you say more than 50% is like you end up working with them? I mean, or
no, more than this.
More than this.
No, like 90%. I try at least for 90%, and sometimes it fails because I realize that it's just not compatible.
Okay, and then you go back and say, listen, I cannot do this because
I just like a little payment up front for the time I spent, working on research and developing ideas. And if I realize that the band in front of me is just like incompatible to the ideas, then we just stop. And this happens. I would say that this happens like 20% of the situation. This happens, and then the rest it works out. Usually like more or less fine.
Still a good high percentage. I mean, for maintaining an uncompromising attitude, that's still a good percentage.
Because
it means that people already know.
Because I have my manifesto and they know about that, so they accept. They accept the thing.
That they're not gonna get to tell you, can you put a little bit more blue, or can you be?
It can happen still, but it will be such a tiny compromise out of the rest of the project that I can give you that. It's okay. But if you just one detail, it's fine. I mean, I'm not that much of a fascist, It's we can talk, and if they have been like very cool with me for the whole project, and they got picky in the end for like 1 or 2 tiny details, it's fine.
I mean, there's so much diversification though. When someone is looking at all the work in the first book, many different. Alcest, for example. You compare Alcest, the work you do for Alcest, with Blue Taos Nord or Secrets of the Moon, for example, or Bataine. Although they're different, someone can look at them and say, okay, this is Metastazis. Is that conscious? Does this happen consciously?
No, it's not conscious. I mean, I'm just doing doing what I do, and at some point I guess that some composition patterns or some things that happen and make people identify that it is me working. No, it's not conscious at all. On the it's actually like working the other way around. That sometimes I try to explore something totally different, just to try to get rid of my habits and recipes.
Like in what case? Can you remember a case where you had a completely blank board and you said, I'm gonna go for something extremely different? I remember one of what comes to mind.
Well, Secret of the Moon could come to mind, but it was such a long time ago that now it's difficult to relate to that. Well, what I did for Liba recently is very different from the rest what I did, like those digital paintings, very fine digital paintings, very realistic. It's not something.
Republic, the 3D. You did the
Yeah, the Republica. Yes, because I've been
3D modeling.
Yeah, I've been experimenting with 3D modeling recently, so this is also something new I try to play with, so that gives another perspective from my work.
I can't remember. When did you start using 3D modeling? I think that was Republica was the first. Was it the first?
No, I did something for a band called To Whom It May. It was just like tiny elements of 3D. I started to study 3D 1 year ago, and quite briefly after that, I started to develop it in my artwork.
There's a great trailer. I can't wait to see that documentary, War of Art, where 6 Western artists that Morten takes them to North Korea and directs a documentary.
Yeah.
And you're one of them.
Yes.
And when did this happen? Did it happen when you were there for Liveback?
No, it was a very old idea of Morten, but some projects had more priority took over instead of this one. During when the first time I met Morten, he already had decided. It was like 5 or 6 years ago, and it was always postponed because there was the Liveback concert, because there was this and that and this project and that project. So
when did it finally happen? When did you go over there?
2017 for the DMD Academy, and it was not a full success, to say the least.
Why is that? Because the trailer is amazing. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, like the experiment as an experiment was a success because anything that happens there is interesting to analyze.
Exactly.
But like the outcome of the actual exchange, with the cultural authorities in North Korea, this was more or less a failure because the geopolitical context was very bad. It was like the peak of the tension between Trump and Kim Jong-un, and also because some of our fundamental counterparts in the committee had very, very serious issues with alcohol and was totally dysfunctional and basically willingly or unwillingly sabotaged the whole project.
Okay.
So
will the documentary come out at some point, maybe?
Yes, of course. It's the official premiere was 3 weeks ago in Oslo. And it will be probably a couple of festivals and broadcasted on French and German television on Arte in the coming weeks or months. I still don't have but yes, it will come out. It will definitely come out. Yes, I mean it's already out.
It's already out. Yeah,
it's already out.
That's it's gonna be interesting. You do a lot of traveling. You go Eastern Europe. You go there a lot. Russia. You've been to a few crazy places. I remember you had this postcard from a very, very small state, which is like a separate country almost. You were showing this. Which country?
Transnistria. It's the Dniester. In English and in French, it's like Transnistria or Transnistria. For the Slavic language, it's like Dniester. It's like something impossible to.
Where is that?
It's a band of land, a strip of land between Moldova and Ukraine.
Okay.
And it's still officially a Soviet republic, although it's not recognized by anyone beside Abkhazia and Ossetia. So other republics that are not recognized by anyone else but those republics. And it's quite volatile atmosphere there.
Yeah.
Can we make a break? T'as pissé quelque part, toi? T'as monté pour pisser ou?
That's it. I don't have anything else to ask you. I mean, I was going to say you've got the show in Lithuania. News coming up.
Yeah.
Armageddon Descents.
Yeah, that's it.
And
we have an exhibition. Merci, Pierre-Marc. Yeah, it's an exhibition called Negative States.
Negative State, yes. Which the poster of which can everyone see on your Instagram page.
Metastazis,
_ Paris.
Yeah.
And Facebook, you post your.
But Facebook, I'm not that active anymore. I'm mostly active on Instagram, so.
And where people can buy the book? Timeless is the publisher?
Yeah, Timeless.
Timeless
Shop is the publisher of basically all my books.
Perfect. So I'm always fascinated by what you post and what projects you're currently revealing, because these are projects you've worked months before, and now it's finally So I'm guessing right now you're working on stuff that maybe we'll see next year or maybe later.
Yeah, hopefully. But yes, I'm working on a couple of exciting projects about different
bands and
events and book projects.
Perfect.
And of course, nothing that I want to reveal now because it's a bit early. But things will come up. That's for sure. I mean, this is what I do for a living, and this is what I do for my life. So
that's it.
If I don't have project, I die. And if I, so.
Metastazis. That's it. All right. Thank you.
Great.